As storytellers, we believe it is imperative for us to study the art of storytelling. In our previous videos, we went over films, but this time we're doing a list of our favorite screenwriting books. We start with Story by Robert McKee. In this book, the entirety of the information is based on screenwriting. I know that it says story, but in reality, it's a screenwriting book. Robert McKee is an expert, and not in the normal way. He's not someone that you can look up and see a list of great films on his IMDb page. Although if you do read it, you'll find an interesting list to say the least. But as far as being an expert, he is one that is like a historian, in that he might not be directly tied to the subject through lived experience, but he has studied it immensely. And you can tell through his examples and references. This man will talk about the French New Wave films, but he will also use Star Wars as reference for other things he's trying to explain. So he's not one of those hoity-toity types, he just cares about storytelling, especially on the screen. So much so that he's penned multiple books on different aspects of storytelling. He has one on action, dialogue, and character. He is a guru when it comes to the art of storytelling, and it shows in his understanding of that ancient act. This particular book covers everything, from conflict to character to plot. This was the first of his storytelling books that he wrote, and so there aren't subjects that he broaches that he doesn't give a comprehensive guide on. He doesn't have the problem of saying, I could tell you about this topic in my other book. He gets everything he needs to say onto these pages, and it's worth it. One of our favorite things about this book is the fact that he wants every story to succeed. As we said before, he's not highbrow. He just wants good stories. And it shows. He is so adamant about making sure that you follow the thread that your story pulls at the beginning all the way to its end. For example, he makes sure to show you how scenes can turn on their heads, and even though you've seen the two lovers break up 1,000 times, he gives you the ingredients on how to make your version unique. And the last thing I'll say about the book is the fact that he is always referencing the ancient playwrights and poets for the things that he is absolute on. He quotes Shakespeare and Aristotle for proof of his ideas. Actually, that's not the last thing we'll say about it. The last thing we will say is our favorite method of mapping out our stories and scenes is the card method, and this comes from Story by Robert McKee. So we highly recommend this book. And now we move on to Creating Character Arcs by K.M. Weiland. This is our favorite book on character. Go figure. This isn't exactly a screenwriting book, but all the principles of good character are relevant to our medium, so we're giving it a pass. Weiland is a novelist and an expert on storytelling, especially on character. This book is comprehensive and perfect for someone that has an idea for a character, but doesn't know how to form a story around that character. And in reading this book, you'll actually find that she does reference Story by Robert McKee. Now, just because this book is a medium-agnostic storytelling book doesn't mean that she doesn't use films and their characters as her references. In fact, one of our favorite references is when she writes about the prequel trilogy in Star Wars. She makes it known that she is a fangirl, but she is too privy of good storytelling to think that they are well-told stories. She acknowledges that fact, and yet she uses it as an example anyways. She says that even though the execution of the story as a whole is less than ideal, that the overall elements of a negative change arc are used well. She also has questions at the end of every chapter specific to the content of that chapter. And these can be extremely helpful if you are struggling with applying her ideas to your characters. However, we do want to say that answering these questions is not necessarily the best way to get everything out of this book. How we view these questions is more like if you don't fully understand what she's writing about in the chapter, then the questions will help you get to the specific ideas she's talking about. And now on to our last book. It's the one that you were all probably expecting. Save the Cat. Blake Snyder's book has become the poster child for books on screenwriting, and we have mixed feelings about it. Let's start with the positives. It's easily read and comprehended. There are no fancy ideas or methods that take a PhD to understand. This book was written for people that haven't taken classes on screenwriting or haven't gone to workshops and writers' rooms. This book is for those who love movies, have a good idea, and want to put it on the page. The biggest thing in this book is the beat sheet. It's an entire list of story beats listed out with specific page numbers that he believes need to be in every story. And this beat sheet is specifically for a film that's 120 pages long. So he says that your page numbers may vary, but they should be roughly around what he suggests if the story is progressing at his surmised pace. Blake did a great job in this book of making it easy to understand his process. He takes you from inception of idea to outline to finished script, all in his process. He also mentions story by Robert McKee, so he gets points for that too. We do have to get to the negative, at least in our eyes. This is a book that is specifically designed to teach you how to write a screenplay that will get sold. And with this comes certain parameters. He really tries to get you to make sure that your story has mass appeal. And while yes, we agree that films require a lot of money to be made, so there needs to be mass appeal. We don't fully agree that the stories that you write, specifically because you want to see them, aren't worth writing. We believe that if you have a good idea, write the screenplay. He seems to be too stuck on the commerce of the screenwriting process, and that can stunt someone's creativity. Again, we are recommending this book to you, but we wanted to make sure that we voiced that disagreement in this video. So there you have it, 3 books to help you write your screenplay. Story is our favorite because it focuses on making your story as strong as possible. Creating character arcs is tremendous for understanding your character. And Save the Cat is great for giving you a process to realize your screenplay. And as always, keep writing.